So what's going on with Punisher, Andre? Now what?
Yes, the Punisher. Because a couple of years back, Marvel decided in their wisdom that the Punisher was deeply problematic. He had a problematic skull because it was being used by some people in law enforcement and in the military, and they did not like that. No, 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 no. They did not like that one bit. I mean, the original co-creator of the Punisher, Scribe, help me out with his name. He even created a BLM skull.
Oh my God! Now you're challenging my memory of everybody's names here, because every time I think of Punisher, I think of Chuck Dixon.
Yeah, no. I said original co-creator.
Yeah, I know. I'll have to look it up. Unfortunately,
I'm trying to remember his name now too. I just forgot it.
Yeah, my lore dies on me.
Yeah, well,
but anyhow, in the meantime,
Frank Grillo?
Anyway, no.
The original. One of the original creators.
Gary Conway.
Gary
Conway, yes.
I'm sorry. I was thinking Joe Barenthal, not Grillo.
I kept thinking Jerry O'Connell. Wrong
person. Jerry O'Connell is the Punisher.
Grillo,
the fat kid in Stand By Me, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he is kind of like one of the better on-screen Punishers outside of the Punisher franchise in that other series of horror movies. The what's that called again? Like what? This is the Take or Break parts.
You mean the Purge?
Yes, the Purge. She's the Purge Punisher.
Yes.
But either way, anyway, a couple of years back, Marvel decided that they were going to retire Frank Castle and just remove him, get rid of his skull and remove him, and they did. And then they had a short-lived miniseries of some other guy taking on the Punisher mantle.
Yes.
I don't even know that thing went through the end, and he was never seen again. And of course, now the Punisher is going to be in next year's Spider-Man. Plus, he has like a short on Disney Plus. So they're obviously trying to do something with the Punisher again. So to that end, they have to bring him back, or they've decided to bring him back into the comics, original skull and everything. And so you have this new Punisher miniseries titled The Punisher Red Band. And the first issue was just released. And both Scribe and myself are huge Punisher fans. So, and we read this first issue of this miniseries. So, Scribe, are you impressed? What's the story in Punisher Red Band?
Well, so when I first heard about this, people were saying that, this is going to return to sort of a Punisher Max sort of unrated graphic novel territory, that it's kind of going back to the roots of the character. I've been kind of there's a certain amount of Schadenfreude in me for Marvel that it feels like almost grudgingly they have to bring the Punisher back, because he is still a popular character, even though I think the current iteration of him on screen is not that great. And so when I went into this, I was going like, okay, well, who's writing it? And I don't recognize any of the names. I'm like, okay, so they didn't bring anybody who knows how to write the Punisher that I know of anyway into it, which is what I would have done if you're really trying to resurrect the character. And so I read through the first issue, and by the way, guys, spoiler alert, there's no way to avoid it. Not impressed. As so the plot basically revolves around, I guess, at least implied in the first issue, the Punisher is in a big battle. He falls off of a boat, suddenly loses his memory, and then is unknowingly the tool of higher powers because of an implanted microchip in his head.
By implication, of course, they can make some changes to that, but by implication, that higher power is the Kingpin.
Yes, the Kingpin, who is going around in his suit, in full dress, into places like a confessional booth, which I don't think the Kingpin could physically fit into, seemingly acting like some kind of vigilante himself or something. I'm not quite sure what I'm sure it'll be clarified as things go on. But I first thought, okay, well, let's look at is the art okay? And I was like, the art's fine. It doesn't look too terrible. I've seen worse, obviously. So the art isn't too bad. The rendition of the Punisher looks classic. The gore is. I never really needed gore when I was reading the Punisher as a kid. There's a difference between 90s Punisher and Max Punisher, and the explicit nature of the Max series did heighten it a little bit, but there's a lot they got away with in the original Punisher main series that is still, I think, a lot darker.
Well, basically, it's the same level of gore here as it was in the Marvel Knights series from
more or less
from the early 2000s. So it's now 20 years later, and no buttons have been pushed, and nothing is progressed any further. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah,
they haven't moved anywhere in terms of violence. They try to say Red Band. So no. It's if anything, it's pale compared to what Garth Ennis was doing. Not even in Max, but in regular Marvel Knights.
Yeah, it's still. I mean, if the implication from the Red Band thing, like a Red Band trailer for a movie, is that it's supposed to be more explicit or something, maybe my tolerance has just been raised quite a bit over the years. But this was mild in comparison to a lot of the Max stuff. So far, as Andre, not to steal Andre's thunder, but he made a perfect point before we started the show. Punisher falling off a ship, falling into the water, losing his memory. It was Jason Bourne.
Yeah, that's Jason Bourne identity.
Territory. Yeah, it's Bourne identity stuff. And to find
it's a Bourne identity with a little bit of Escape from New York thrown in, because he has now a device put into him, which means that he's under the control of someone else. Actually, it's if anything, it's even Escape from LA territory more so than New York, because New York was a virus. It was
this also implies that he was somehow captured ahead of time and had this implanted, and that there's a whole other thing that went on before the falling off the boats. That's, and like I said to Andre, that's just the amnesia thing. Hits his head and gets amnesia for a while. It's a cheesy trope. But making a mind-controlling microchip, that's a level into science fiction for the Punisher that just doesn't fit and really isn't necessary, I don't think. Now, I mean, it does harken back a little bit to his origins in the sense that he was duped by the Jackal into thinking that Spider-Man was a villain, and so he was kind of the Jackal's tool. But I don't think I don't know they could get away with Wilson Fisk convincing the Punisher that, no, really, we are best friends, and you're going to go do this.
Well, they did something like that before in the run that was so bad that they then killed him and turned him into an angel before Garth Ennis had to come back and save come in for the first time and save the entire title because they messed it up so badly. To me, this is them stepping back into the beginning of that territory where they messed it up so badly. That the only good thing about it was that Ennis later came in. You know what really has me scared about this? Of course, I obviously didn't like this either. I'm completely unimpressed by this issue.
Yeah.
I'm not excited at all for the next one. And what worries me the most is that this is the story they went with. The Punisher duped and under the control of something else. Is that what we're going to see in Spider-Man? Because John Bernthal is there, and he's like the second lead or something.
Well, they kind of already did this in Daredevil Season 2, where they made the whole bullet in the head theory is taking away Frank Castle's conscious choice to do what he does, and instead is being manipulated by brain damage. And they kind of abandoned that in the course of the Netflix continuity, at least as far as I know. But I always hated that because that gives Frank Castle a moral escape. Because he's not making these choices himself. He's under the control. He's basically insane. I have to point this out. My least favorite part of the entire book, the amnesia thing, the microchip thing, I just shared the screen on it. There's this one scene, this one element where Frank Castle, now amnesiatic or whatever, is now washed up on a beach, and this tiny little old lady comes walking by, and this is in Brooklyn, New York, apparently. And she sees him, and he's laying there, and he's been shot up. He in very minute detail described all the major wounds he had in a narrative piece earlier in the book. And she doesn't know him. She's not like what's her name from the Welcome Back Frank story, who would have some reason to help him or feel sympathy for him or anything.
Joan,
yes, Joan, which there was a story where Frank ended up on Joan's doorstep, and that made all the sense in the world. This little old lady somehow transports a gigantic, hulking Frank Castle from the beach, where he's half dead and bleeding, all the way to her house in order to see to him like Florence Nightingale for reasons that are never explained, in defying physics that are never solved. I have to at least believe something about the chain of events in a story, even if it's a comic book story, even if it's superheroes and stuff. There has to be a logical progression of how things get from point A to point B. There's no logical progression from this scene. I've got I don't know who can share the screen, but he's lying on the beach and half dead, and then he's just like, "Take me to your house." Why would she do that?
Yeah, that's...
Why would she do this? And how could she do this? Anyway, so that of everything else in the book, that and how the gun appeared in the priest's hand, that's another scene altogether. I don't know how that happened. The little old lady somehow carrying Frank Castle back to her house just didn't make any sense. But anyway, not a very impressive return of the Punisher. I'm glad they brought back the skull. I'm glad they're, drawing the guns correctly, but at the end of the day, it really comes down to the storyline, and the storyline is not.
I have to say that kind of like your praise reminds me of Cultured Casino's praise whenever he hates a movie, and he at least can praise it for at least the camera was in focus.
Yeah, I mean, if all the dialogue in this thing was changed to a different plot, it wouldn't look that bad, but it's not. The Punisher works because the story works. You don't just, unlike Blade, who can just show up and kill vampires. The Punisher has to have a purpose. He has to have a mission. It has to be clear. There has to be a defined villain, what's going on. And things have to make some kind of sense because the Punisher exists in relative terms lower down to the streets than most other Marvel characters. And if you throw in too much sci-fi, if you throw in too many, amazing coincidences or unexplained feats of whatever, it robs the entire character of what he is. And so this issue doesn't bode well. I don't think future issues will be able to fix it, but time will tell.
I'm going to just channel Paul Chato here as well. He always goes on about like pilot episodes.
Mm-hmm.
And how they really just have to summarize the entire story, the characters, the arcs, what you can expect for the rest of the series. You kind of like have to know everything and be ready by the end of the pilot. Yep. This first issue was a terrible pilot. Because I don't give a fuck what happens next.
Yeah, especially
I know that there's plenty more that the whole thing is about to see what happened that night. I guarantee you that it's only in the final issue that we are going to see what happened 10 minutes before. And there's going to be some like subversive revelation or something, and I couldn't care less.
Yeah, I imagine, given the setup at the beginning, an exploding boat and everything else between Jason Bourne, I think we're going to get some kind of Usual Suspects attempt at reveal, like some big twist. Or something like, oh, Frank had the chip put in his brain himself. Like, what? He made himself lose his own memory because of what? Like something like that. But yeah, I mean, after going to such a concerted effort to kill off the character, to delete his symbol because you guys didn't like it too much, this is the story you decided to go with to reintroduce the character. I mean, if you wanted to effectively retcon his departure or his death or whatever and just pretend like it never happened, I'm fine with that. Yay for comic books. But you could have done the character a better service than this for a return. So anyway, we'll find out as we go, I suppose. I don't know if we'll make it a running review of the series, but I'll keep my eyes out as they come out.
Well, maybe we will. We'll see.
This clip was taken from Midnight's Edge in the Morning, which streams live every Monday, Wednesday and Friday at 9 a.m. Pacific Time on the Midnight's Edge main channel. There you can send in your live questions and comments before clips and full stream replays are uploaded to Midnight's Edge live archives. We are also on Twitter, Rumble, Odyssey and Facebook, so smash that like, help share, subscribe and join us.